With us today, we have Kristen Althouse with the Sports Turf Managers Association. Kristen is the CDE chair of the newest CDE being offered here in Pennsylvania, which is Turfgrass Management. Kristen has agreed to overview this CDE for us today, take a look at what components make up the CDE schedule, talk about some of the practicum portions that you can expect to, that participants can expect to find in the CDE, as well as guide you to some resources that might help you prepare students that are interested with it. Kristen has, we will be taking questions from the audience, but we're going to kind of reserve the end of the time here to address them. If you're new to Zoom, you can type your questions into the chat box. You can also enter the question utilizing the Q&A feature that should be found on your toolbar. At the end, you can also raise hand by using your raise hand icon. That will signify that you do have a question that you would like to ask verbally. And as long as you have the technology, and if you have a microphone, I can give you access to talk and ask your question verbally as well. So with that, Kristen, you can take it over and talk to us about the Turfgrass Management CDE.
All right. Well, thank you, John. And hi, everyone. And thank you for joining me today. As John said, my name is Kristen Althouse, and I am here to introduce the new Turfgrass CDE that will be taking place at the Pennsylvania Activities Week in June. Just a little bit about me. I earned my bachelor's degree in turfgrass science and also a master's in agricultural and extension education, both from Penn State. I am currently the education manager for Sports Turf Managers Association, which is a professional association for those who manage sports surfaces in the United States and internationally. I am the chairperson for the Turfgrass CDE, so if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me at my email address, which is listed on this slide, kalthouse@stma.org. Okay, so the purpose of the event is to introduce students to all aspects of the turfgrass industry. So that includes producing, marketing, utilizing, and maintaining turfgrass, as well as related products, equipment, and services. This event will stimulate a career interest, encourage proficiency development, and recognize excellence in students of turfgrass management. The environmental horticulture industry, which includes turfgrass, is one of the fastest growing segments of the nation's agricultural economy, with close to 2 million jobs. With the abundance of jobs in the turfgrass industry, it's important for students to be aware of the opportunities available to them. The Turfgrass CDE will expose students to the knowledge and skills necessary to be successful in the profession. So some of the objectives for the event, I'm not going to read all of them, but just to name a few. Students will be able to identify turf grasses, weeds, insects, and diseases common in Pennsylvania. They will understand propagation, growth requirements, growing techniques, marketing, and maintenance of turfgrass. They will be able to identify, select, use, and maintain appropriate supplies and equipment, and they will also be able to communicate effectively. So before I get into the details of the event, this is its first year. Therefore, we are still in the planning stages. And while I hope to give you as much information as possible about the event and how it will be organized, I may not be able to answer all of your questions. So let's first talk about the tentative schedule. On Tuesday, June 2nd, students are scheduled from 1 to 4 p.m. They will be transported to Valentine Turfgrass Research Center, which is located on the Penn State University campus. Here they will complete the written portion of the exam. And then following the exam, they will get a tour of the research center. On Wednesday, June 3rd, students are scheduled from 8 to 4 p.m. They will again be transported to Valentine Turfgrass Research Center, and here they will complete identification, practicums, and a team activity. Following the competition and time permitting, they will receive tours of Penn State sports facilities. So the written exam, this will take place on Tuesday, June 2nd. The exam will be 50 questions and it will consist of multiple choice, true, false, and matching. Students will have 1 hour to complete the written portion of the test. As far as scoring goes, each individual team member will complete the test and be eligible for 100 points. And the entire team is eligible for up to 400 points. So the topics on the written portion of the exam will include the following. We have turfgrass identification, selection, and morphology, cultural practices, soils, turfgrass mathematics, pest management, golf course management, sports field management, and equipment. So I'll give more information about each topic, and I will also provide some example text questions. So under turfgrass identification, selection, and morphology, it will include questions about anatomical features of the turfgrass plant, identifying specific turfgrasses, form and structure of the plant and relationships between those structures, and selecting the best turfgrass based on the application. So an example question that could appear on the test is which cool season species of turfgrass is used for its rhizomatous growth habit? Kentucky bluegrass, fall fescue, perennial ryegrass, or fine fescue? And here we see the answer is Kentucky bluegrass. So cultural practices is another topic. This will include questions on mowing, fertility, irrigation, aeration, top dressing, seeding, sprigging, sodding, and integrated pest management. Soil topics will include soil types, soil physical properties such as texture, structure, and drainage characteristics, soil chemical properties such as pH, acidity, and alkalinity, reading and interpreting a soil test, and influence of soil on turfgrass growth. So again, here's another example question. What describes the pH range preferred by most turfgrasses? And here we have the answer of 5.5 to 6.5. Turfgrass mathematics. So this will be calculations for fertilizer and chemical applications, calculations for top dressing applications, seed calculations, and that will include pure live seed, and also area calculations. Pest management will cover topics such as broadleaf and grassy weeds, turfgrass insects, turfgrass diseases, and integrated pest management. So here we have two questions that could appear that relate to pest management. One is about weed management, and then the second is regarding insects. So the first one, your customer has stated that they don't want any crabgrass to ruin their lawn. What type of herbicide would you need to apply in the spring? And then the second one relates to insects, about what type of damage is done to a grass plant by the grub form of a billbug. And again, here are your answers. So I'm just trying to give you an idea of the types of questions that will appear in these topic areas. So for golf course management, these will be questions specific to golf course management. Sports field management, these will be questions specific to sports fields, and that can include both turfgrass and non-turfgrass areas. And it can also be specific to the sport, such as football specific questions or baseball or. And again, I provided another example question. One basic category for surface drainage of sports fields is, and here's your answer, the crown field design. And then the final topic area that will appear on the written portion of the exam is equipment. And this will include uses, parts, and operation. So again, another example question, the type of mower that is typically not used on fine turf grass, and it's a flail mower. So moving into the identification section, this will take place on Wednesday, June 3rd. ID will consist of 4 topic areas, which will include turfgrass plants and seeds, broadleaf and grassy weeds, turfgrass insects, and turfgrass diseases. They will have 1 minute per specimen, so it will be about an hour for an individual to move through this section. All of the students will participate in each section of the identification portion. Individually, they can earn up to 200 points, and then the team can earn up to 800 points. So turfgrass plants and seeds, there will be 10 specimens provided, and they will be worth 5 points each. For the plants, the specimens will be live turfgrass plants. For the seeds, the specimens will be a picture accompanied by a bag of seed. And I provided pictures of what those specimens will look like. So the plant samples will be potted, and then as you can see on the right, we have the picture and then the bag of seed. On the answer sheet, students must provide both the common name and the botanical name. A list of what may appear on the test is in the document on the FFA website. As far as point distribution, each student will compete individually to earn up to 50 points, which is then combined into a team score not to exceed 200 points. For the broadleaf and grassy weeds, 25 specimens will be provided, and they will be worth 2 points each. Students will have 1 minute per specimen, and again, the specimens will be live plants and they will be potted. On the answer sheet, students may provide the common or the botanical name. I know the current document on the website says both common and botanical name. We will accept just one. And the listing of the broadleaf and grassy weeds that may appear on the test is in that document on the FFA website. As far as points, each student will compete individually to earn up to 50 points. And the team score will not exceed 200 points. Moving into diseases, we will have 10 specimens provided, and they will be worth 5 points each. Again, students will have 1 minute per specimen. The specimens will be pictures accompanied by a description. So what you see on the screen is what students will see. The number will correspond with the answer sheet. In this example, the number is 9. Pictures of the disease symptoms will be provided, and then a short description with clues will accompany the picture, as you can see in the top right corner. So a list of what may appear on the test is in the document on the FFA website. Again, each student will compete individually to earn up to 50 points, and the team can earn up to 200 points. And then the fourth section of identification will be insects. 10 specimens will be provided and will be worth 5 points each. Students have 1 minute per specimen, and the specimens will be exactly what is pictured here. They are preserved in vials. So a list of what may appear on the test is in the document on the FFA website, and points. Each student will compete individually to earn up to 50 points, and then the team score will not exceed 200 points. So again, total points, individuals can earn up to 200, 50 points per section, and then the team can earn up to 800 points. All right, the practicums. The practicum will consist of 4 activities. These include irrigation, repair and construction, string trimmer troubleshooting, transit use, and reel mower adjustment. As far as timing, we may need to adjust the time for this section. The document on the FFA website says that it is set at 20 minutes, but it may be increased up to 40 minutes. Unlike the ID section, only one team member will be working on each section. They do not rotate. Each team member will be randomly assigned to a practicum. So for example, team member 1 will be at the irrigation station and the irrigation station only. Team member 2 will only do trimmer troubleshooting. Team member 3 will only use the transit, and team member 4 will only adjust the reel mower. So it's important to note that all students need to be proficient in all areas because they are being randomly assigned. As far as point distribution, individually, students can earn up to 100 points, and then the team can collectively earn 400 points. Okay, so I'll just be going through the practicums briefly. So the first one, irrigation system repair and construction. The participants will be given pipe, fittings, and a plan to construct a small closed irrigation system. They will be evaluated on measuring, cutting, and solvent welding to plan specifications. The creation will be pressure and leak tested, and then they will also be evaluated on safety procedures. For string trimmer troubleshooting, participants will be given a commercial string trimmer with a bump head feeder that is not feeding line correctly, screwdriver, cutters, and a supply of line. They will be evaluated on a pre-operation checklist, procedures to start and shut down equipment, solving the line feeding problem, assembly of the trimmer head, following instructions, interpreting the operator's manual, and safety procedures. And I do want to thank Husqvarna for their generous donation of trimmers. So for your information, that will be the brand of trimmer that we will be using for this practicum. The third practicum will be using a transit. Participants will be given a transit level and calibrated rods. They will be evaluated on instrument setup, determining the benchmark, evaluation readings and calculations, or I'm sorry, elevation readings and calculations, calculating slope, and proper teardown and storage. And the fourth practicum is reel mower adjustment. So participants will be given a reel mower head and an AccuGauge gauge. They will be evaluated on height adjustment, correct use of an AccuGauge gauge, reel to bed knife clearance, safety procedures, equipment part identification, and the ability to follow instructions. All right, so getting into the team activity. This will also take place on Wednesday, June 3rd. Students will be asked to calibrate a rotary fertilizer spreader for a fertilizer application. They will have 1 hour to complete the exercise, and the team can collectively earn up to 100 points. So participants will be provided materials needed for successful calibration, and this includes a rotary spreader, product for application, collection devices, tape measure, scale, flags, and other necessary materials. They will be evaluated on calculating the area to which the product is being applied, measuring the spreader's effective swath, measuring the calibration run length, determining the amount of product needed to deliver the desired amount of nutrient, determining the appropriate spreader setting to deliver the desired amount of material, safety procedures, and teamwork. So I have compiled a resource list, and this is available in the document on the Pennsylvania FFA website. However, I have added a few resources to this list that may be helpful. Many of these resources can be ordered online, and the links provided will take you to the associated website for a variety of online resources. So some of the ones that I've added are the Penn State website addresses. and then some professional associations. So they all provide resources that will be important for the event. I do want to note that there is a Turfgrass science curriculum available for secondary agriculture programs, and this does support classroom instruction and the CDE. I think John is posting this presentation, so you will have access to this updated resource list. But if you want to contact me for the list or you have any other questions, you can send me an email. I'll have my contact information again on the last slide. So tours, I just mentioned those briefly. Each day will conclude with a tour to expose students to Penn State facilities and the careers in the turfgrass industry. Tuesday, we plan to conclude with a tour of Valentine Turfgrass Research Center. Students will learn about the research projects that are being conducted by the Penn State faculty for sports surfaces and golf courses. And then Wednesday, we'll conclude, time permitting, with tours of the Penn State sports facilities. We hope to include a tour of Beaver Stadium, as well as Medlar Field at Lubrano Park, which is the baseball stadium. So that is just a brief overview of the Turfgrass CDE that will be taking place at the Pennsylvania FFA Activities Week in June. It is our first year hosting the event, so we're really excited to introduce students to this sector of agriculture. In preparation for the event, I will be at the Spring Eastern Regional CDE Day on April 30th, which is located at the Lebanon Expo Center. We will have a shortened version of the event with the written exam, ID section, and 2 practicums. If you have any questions for me, please feel free to reach out. The best way is by email at kalthouse@stma.org. And if you have any questions today, I will be happy to take them at this time.
Okay, thank you very much, Kristen. And we are equally as excited to see how this CDE goes for its first year. We do have a few questions that folks had during your presentation there. The first one was from Adam Surfoss. Adam teaches down at Conrad Weiser High School in Berks County. Adam asked, will students be able to use a calculator for calculating and answering math questions?
Hi, Adam. I went to high school with Adam. Yes, students will have a calculator.
Okay, very good. Thanks, Adam, for that question. And that's pretty awesome that the two of you were high school classmates there and reconnecting here in the profession. We had an anonymous attendee write, when scientific names are asked for, will this be from a provided list or will it be fill in the blank?
At this time, we are planning on fill in the blank.
Okay, so no word bank though.
Not for the identification section.
Okay. I'm not sure who asked that question, but did that clarify? Okay. If it did not, feel free to type into the chat box. Ms. Diana Jarema has a question. Is there a video that's been created to advertise this CDE at all?
I have not created one, so I would say no.
Okay. We did have another question, Kevin, but then wrote, never mind. Kevin, are you content with an answer to your question there that you kind of withdrew then? Okay, he says he's all good. Very good. So a question that I have, and again, we have plenty of time here. We have about 30 minutes left in the scheduled time. We can use as much or as little of that time as we need to. But a question I have for Kristen is, what is your target number of students and FFA members that you like to see register for the CDE for the first year?
Well, It's hard to say because we don't get that information until really close to the event. But we are planning for about 40 students. So I really have no idea if we can make that number, but that's what we are preparing for with our supplies.
Okay. And sort of along those same lines, Kristen, and I don't mean to put you too on a spot here with asking questions about facts and figures, but did you cover in that presentation the workforce needs and sort of job opportunities available through the sports turf industry?
I did not.
Do
So
you have those figures that teachers might be able to share with students and show a demand for this type of occupation that might generate some interest?
Sure, I could put together like a flyer that lists out career opportunities and numbers if that's something that would help people and be useful for them.
Without getting too detail oriented, is there a fairly large gap between workforce availability and demand?
Yes, if you get into the turfgrass industry, you will find a job.
Okay. We had another question here from an anonymous attendee. Are the scoring rubric for the practicums available yet for distribution to teachers or posting online?
I have not posted anything online. Like I said, the practicums are still under development. I'm working with the Penn State faculty to put those activities together. We have a rough draft of the practicums, but I wouldn't be comfortable putting those online since they're still in their draft form. I'm hoping also to use that spring regional CDE day as a way to test some of those rubrics that we are developing. Are we required to put the rubrics online, John?
I honestly could not tell you. Ron, Diana, even and Lori and Adam, other CDE chairs, are you aware of a policy that requires that? Adam says he's not. Lori says she's not. No, I don't think it's required, but we can certainly double check on that for you.
Okay.
I do know that some CDEs do post their scoring rubrics, to give teachers and students an opportunity to practice, utilizing them and competing and performing, within the scope of content that's in them. But we can ask Mr. Brammer and the FFA board about that policy.
Okay.
Diana,
I would be happy to have rubrics out for information before the event. I will be able to do that. I just don't know how far in advance.
Sure. Mr. Frederick says there is no policy, but where there are rubrics, they are available. Was most helpful in getting the vet science CDE going. Okay. We had a question from Kevin during that discussion. Any plans or potential for the Golf Course Superintendents Association of America to be involved in the CDE?
Absolutely. They are aware of this effort, and I have not yet reached out to the Pennsylvania chapter of GCSAA to help with the event, but they are on the list to come and help judge or any type of help that they would or involvement that they would like to provide.
Okay. Again, we have just a little bit under 30 minutes of time, scheduled time remaining. That does not mean we need to use it. I have cleared out all the questions in the Q&A feature, as well as addressed all of those that were posed through the chat box. I guess we can do one final call for any questions from our attendees, whom I'm so gracious to for attending and spending some time with us this afternoon to learn about this new event. Are there any more questions from anybody at this time? Okay, any, oh, we have some comments and some questions here. First that I saw was Lori is asking for or suggesting that the idea or opportunity for a word bank for the identification part be entertained. And again, Lori, you'll have Kristen's contact information if the two of you would like to discuss that offline. I would certainly encourage that. Adam's saying he's looking forward to it. We do have a question from Kelsey, though, down there at Eastern Lebanon County High School. How can we best teach towards this CDE?
I would say if you have a plant science curriculum already implemented in your semester, that you add turfgrass as a section of it. A lot of the topics in turfgrass can tie into a plant science curriculum. So when you do identification, you can tie it into turfgrass identification. You know, when you study plant diseases and insects, you can also tie in the turfgrass specific diseases and insects and weeds. Same goes for IPM, you know, that can be across, and soils, that can be spread across and apply to a lot of plant science topics. I would definitely utilize the turfgrass specific resources that Penn State has available because they are specific to Pennsylvania. And I would also suggest that you do case studies. So for example, you know, you're in this part of the state and it's these types of weather conditions, and you see this happening on your turfgrass stand, what could be the problem? So giving those case studies and then sending students towards the resources to find the answer. So that's, you know, that's how I learned, and it's very hands-on for the students. So that would be my suggestion. And if you want to contact me, we can talk about some other ways that you can prepare your students as well.
Yeah, I know Kristen, I can second that. I know Kristen is very eager and willing to work with any teacher that has questions about this CDE, has students that are interested in a CDE. And if you would like her to help you or provide you any further guidance to assist you with assisting your students, I know she's more than willing to do so. Kristen, looks like we have more and more champions for a word bank for the ID. So we won't get into that battle here today, but perhaps you could have some discussion with some more folks about that moving forward.
Sure, and that's great information. Like I said, with this being the first year, you all have so much more experience with this than I do. So if you find something that works and works really well, please share it with me. So yeah, I do appreciate those comments.
Okay, we have plenty of time. We don't need to belabor the webinar here, but if nobody has any further questions, oh, what's this? Yeah. Okay, Kristen, are you available on April 16th to be in Adams County?
I need to look at my schedule.
Sure, sure. Again, Kristen's email is in the, I have it. It was at the end of this presentation as I typed into the chat box. Her email, that list of resources, and her PowerPoint will be made available with the recording of this webinar. So I'd be happy. There's more than one way to get in touch with Kristen after we leave here today. So I will let you handle that offline then. But if anybody needs Kristen's information, contact me, or it'll be available through the information with this recording. But lots of great opportunities. This is very exciting. Very excited to see how this first year goes. And this really does help Pennsylvania's ag ed break into a whole new industry, so to speak, with this CDE. So very excited to see what direction that takes. Okay. If you have a question, feel free to pose it at this time. If not, we can dismiss shortly. Kristen, thank you very, very, very much for being with us here today. Thank you to everybody that's joined. If you do have a question after the fact, feel free to reach out to me or Kristen. I will most likely just direct you to Kristen anyway. So if there is no other questions, we can adjourn for the day. Have a great afternoon. Enjoy the warmer, sunnier weather.
All right.
Thanks,
thank you.
everybody.